Right. Welcome, Mike. How are we, mate?
I'm all right, mate. Good. Yourself?
Yeah, very good, mate. All the better for seeing you, mate. We were just recently kind of caught up. I saw all the kind of good work that you've been doing from afar. You know, the old social media. You kind of feel like you're just peeping through the fucking hedges sometimes. And it's good to see some of the good stuff that you're doing. So I've always kind of, like a lot of people, followed you from afar, what you're doing. And I can see the kind of man you're developing into. And it's really, really fucking good to see you, mate. And, family man. And obviously, I know you from back in the day. We'd had a few,
Yeah.
we've been out on a piss a few times and know each other from, teenage years, really. And,
Yeah.
we were always acquaintances. I always really enjoyed being in your company. And I think probably the same as me, your backstories, we're coming up from Liverpool, it's a bit rough and tumble and getting on the pace, partying and all that. But as we grow up, people either stay that way or they evolve and start working on themselves. And you're definitely one of those people in the latter who've definitely been working on yourself. So good on you, my friend. So, yeah, we know each other from back in the day.
Appreciate that,
So,
mate. Thank you.
no, good, good. I've got a few questions here, and thank you for doing the Good Men framework and those questions that we'll get into. But first of all, I'd just
Yeah.
like to, to, for the audience, kind of ask you, who are you? What's kind of made you the man that you are today? What are you up to? And just a bit of a high level of, you from a lad to the man you are today, my friend.
Yeah. I appreciate that, mate. Thanks very much. The same. Of watch your development and how well you're doing. By the way, you're looking well.
Thanks, mate.
Very
That's good. That's Coogee Beach living, my friend.
Country beach. I can't say it's the Melling Beach, mate. I live by the canal, so that's about it. Nice little walks on the canal. There's Ainsdale Beach and Southport Beach. You've got a lot. They're nice, to be fair. But don't think they've got much on Coogee.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I haven't got like a backstory where I can say to you that I grew up in a rough part of, or where I'm from, Kirby, Kirby, it is a rough, had an amazing childhood with mum and dad. Mum and dad's an amazing couple. My dad was my dad was a doctor and my mum was a nurse. So, we've always, showed the value of what hard work's about and family life and stuff like that. So, yeah, went to school locally with not far from yourself. We've always been acquaintances and friends and all in the circle of friends that we knew each other. Uh, you know, when you're saying about like what I've grown into as a man, I look back at myself now from when I was 16, 17, 18, and I even like years after that. And I think to myself, if I was to go back there now and look at myself or meet myself at that age, I probably wouldn't like it who had met, you know what I mean? Because,
So
I was up to no good, was started selling a bit of weed and, always double a few little scrapes, few little scraps, getting myself into trouble, big trouble and stuff like that. But as you do, done a fair few community hours, painted a few church fences and stuff like that in my community hours days. But, it's not like a story where I could look back and go, yeah, I was this down I come from nothing, a broken home. I had an amazing family. I still got an amazing family. And it's more so for me, I was, as we all are when you're younger, possibly, you say, impressionable. You always want to, impress people, and you've got a bit of an ego that you try and live up to. And, you're probably there when I've got in scrapes and stuff like that. And I was always one right at the front. And that's why I ended up getting myself into trouble. And you've got an ego, you think that's what life's about then, isn't it? You know what I mean? You're going out, you're living for the weekends, you're doing bits and bobs. But yeah, now, mate, I've got two amazing kids. I've got a gorgeous wife. And I'm probably the happiest I've ever been. I'm 48 years young. I'm probably the happiest I ever have been in my life. And that's been over development over years. The last 5 years, or 6 years, probably more, probably been the happiest years of my life, if I'm honest.
amazing. And with experience and comes that knowledge, and it's that reflection of looking back. And if you're aware enough and have the emotional intelligence enough, you can really evolve.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there's a lot of people who don't look back at themselves and continue down that path. And I think that's why there's,
Yeah.
such high suicide rates and stuff, because people kind of continue, and there's only so long that the human mind can take the pain, so to speak. So no, that's a good kind of high level of where you've come from. And what I've noticed from what you do, you kind of work with a lot of people. You obviously, kickboxer yourself. You've done some of your amateur fights and stuff, and you've done really well. But you moved into the coaching space, and you've coached quite some really high quality
Yeah.
kickboxers, boxers. Yeah, I think you were involved
Boxers
with
more so. Yeah.
boxers. Yeah, I
I've
think
just been coaching the kids tonight, mate. Yeah, straight from work, straight in the boxing gym. I love it. I love it.
yeah,
It's just like that's part of my life that was missing. And saying as I'm back doing it now, it's sort of it it gives me energy. You know what I mean? It's a passion of mine doing it. And yeah, you're right. I've coached some really good world champions now. Nick Ball being one of them. You won't mind me dropping his name in the act there. Brad Strand, as amateurs, coached them right through. Obviously, they've turned over now. I don't have nothing to do with the pro side, but yeah, and it's not just some lads who've like sort of gone on to world champions and British level. It's sort of men who I've coached them when they were 10, 11 years of age to 26, 27 now. Like you bump into them. I bumped into a guy who would like you to get on to tell his story. I've just seen him on Friday night at a boxing show, to be honest. And it's the men they've become. You see them as kids. Like now for me, like boxing, martial arts, any type of training like that, combat sports, it gives you the level of discipline, respect. It teaches. You learn life lessons in the gym. There's no better place to learn a life lesson than in a gym, in a boxing gym. You can learn about getting fumbled. You can learn about, about discipline, motivation, etc., stuff like that. So I like, even though it's great seeing the lads who are world champions and like British champions and coming up and doing really well, but it's also great to see lads who have stopped boxing. But when you see them, they're so respectful and they come over and they've developed into really, really nice lads, which is really good to see, which is an achievement as well.
so that's a really good point. That kind of, I think what good coaches do is it's not just from what I can see, it's not just from the skill set that you give through boxing or whatever martial art it may be. It's those kind of life lessons and watching people go from
Yeah.
boys to men and giving them the qualities as you're doing to your own children now, right? And it's funny you mentioned humble there, because I've had a few dabbles here and there of doing Muay Thai, and I did a little bit over here. You think you can handle yourself, and then you go there and you're completely humbled, and it makes you realize if you come across anybody who is trained for a few years, you've got absolutely no chance. So it makes you realize, hang on a minute, I shouldn't really want to be getting into a fight, because you never know who you're going to come across. But that,
You're right, yeah.
honestly, it's most people who've never tried it don't realize you have zero chance if somebody is well trained. It's I kind of went in, and there was a guy there who'd been doing it for like 5 or 6 years, and I just couldn't get near him, and it was a real wake up for me. And what I've found in a lot of those people who are highly skilled, they're really good guys, because they understand. They probably live with very little fear, because they know they can handle themselves, so they realize there's no need for a fight. And I find that a lot of the people I've
Got nothing
met,
to prove.
exactly, I
I,
find them
I think,
really good
you know what, like
humans.
Liverpool's a bit like, it can be a city when you're out and there's always lads out wanting to prove, and you know what I mean? There's different gangs and firms of lads and this, that, and the other. You always find some of the toughest lads I know. Like, remember Bernie Game, the martial artist who used to
Yeah,
teach my
yeah,
son, who
yeah.
used to teach me? One of my good friends, and you'll never meet a nicer person than him in your life. He's such a down to earth, lovely, doesn't swear in front of women, dead like flipping it. So he doesn't want any violence, but if he flicks that switch, he'd absolutely annihilate you. You know what I mean? He'd kill you, tie you in a little bow, put you in a
Yeah.
knot. But he's such a lovely, lovely person, and you do find, you get the odd idiots who want to prove and they go up, but the real top level, they've got respect, and you don't cross the line with them, but they're really, really nice people.
And that I definitely noticed that. Okay, so thanks for filling in those questionnaires, and I've got the results here. I always ask people to do this at their worst and as they are today, because I always find there's a few aha moments in that. I was looking at your kind of when you were at your lowest, very similar to mine. Out of a score of 20, you scored 6, and then as you are today, as you've been progressing and working on yourself, you scored 15 out of 20, which is relatively high. And you just touched on then that you've come from, you come from the background you did, operating how you did, getting yourself into trouble. And then where you are today, you've just described, it's probably the happiest you've been. And lo and behold, your scores around those 5 pillars are the highest that they've been. But what I find in here gives people a direction of how they can continue to improve. Did you get any aha moments when you were filling in those questionnaires?
Yeah, I did actually. I thought, like, when I was looking at the internal work, which I didn't score very, very well. I think I got 1 out of 4. Sort of, do you regularly read? No, I listen to podcasts, and I started listening to audiobooks, listen to amazing audiobooks, but I don't read very, very often because I'm always in work, busy reading emails and stuff like that. And sometimes to switch off and find that time to actually read. If I'm driving to jobs and driving to work, stuff like that, I'll listen to podcasts, I'll listen to audiobooks. Is that classed as reading?
Yeah,
Or we cheating there?
yeah, they can do. I think that.
It's a self-development. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you look at your kind of some of the individual scores, what's good for you, even at your lowest, your health and fitness has been 2, and I think as men, as humans, men or women, it's really important that you have a strong safety net. And I think in your pillars, you've had some, that health and fitness, knowing you, and similar to myself, that's almost ingrained in you that you're going to train and you're going to try and look after yourself. Obviously, you're not a 4, you are now, which is fantastic. And then you look at, your social connections and again, knowing you because you're doing this coaching, because you're connecting to people, because you feel that team bond that's strong. So when men are suffering, as long as you've got people that you can talk to and be vulnerable with, that's a real safety net that not a lot of men have, which can send them over the edge. So I think that's really, I can see that coming through there really well. And again, you've been looking work and life flow.
Yeah, I do think that with that, when you say about being in the gym and being in that environment, there's also, you've got to sometimes think them environments are very macho environments, alpha male types, not all of them, but majority. You go in, you're with loads of men, women and stuff in training now and that as well, you know what I mean? Some really talented ones, but it's not a place for vulnerability in a way. Do you know what I mean? So you've got that connection as a team, as a sort of, you're in an environment, in a place where it's respectful and motivated and stuff, but it's not a place where you've got that communication side of things where you wouldn't necessarily open up to someone and reach out to someone in a place of that, in the gym like that, unless you really, no, now I would, and, I'd feel open, and it'd be great if someone did open up to me and anything like that, but going back then when you've got that ego and you've got that macho, it's sort of, do you get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah,
sort of that environment.
100%. And I think that's something that I think society's really starting to understand now, and we're trying to dissolve it. And men like yourself, high level martial arts coaching, and the likes yourself, and I know you're actively seeking, giving an open door policy to people to say, hey, if you need to chat, I'm here, and you're sharing your stories, which then opens up for other people. And I think this is a shift that's at the early stages now, but it's fucking massively needed, because as we know, the statistics for, suicides are going through the roof. It's the leading cause of suicide. It leads to go to death under the age of 30 is now suicide, which I've said it time and time again. I find that statistic phenomenal, that it's above cancer and actual diseases. So it's a disease. And it's a disease. And that's why I think it's so important to be vulnerable, and hopefully, that shift, even in those macho gyms, if that shift can continue with the likes of yourself, it's only going to be, better society, and hopefully, reduce that suicidality, which is like an epidemic at the moment. So go back to your rating, again, one of the things for men, you talk about that vulnerable side, is most men don't understand. I always say within love and relationships, the first question I ask is, do you understand your non-negotiable values within the relationship? And I was just talking to my brother, who and I was having a chat with him about
Remember
these
Andrew? Yeah.
things. Yeah, I was talking about these things, with him, because most people go into a relationship and they're 6 months down the line and they don't really understand their own, or they haven't reflected. And they're in a relationship that maybe is a mismatch. And I've said this before: if it's a mismatch, the equation doesn't work. So you stumble along, and then you go through pain, and the partner goes through pain, and unless you realign and say, hey, this is me, this is you, how can we fit together better? And again, with yourself, when you were at your lowest, that was zero, whereas, you're improved now. There's more to do in any relationship. But
Yeah.
the good thing about you is, and I think, touched on it before, work and life flow. If we're in our work or thinking about work, 70 or 80% of our work and out of our opening eyes, we wake up and work can start to consume you. You've got problems. You might have a dickhead boss or something like that. It sounds like you've had a pretty good base there as well, because if that consumes people in a negative way, it eats into the other pillars, because you kind of think, you got this problem. I might not do my health and fitness now because I haven't got time. I've got to go and answer that email and stuff. So the good thing about you, even in your lowest, even the 6 out of 20, even 6 out of 20,
Sorry, mate.
that's okay. Even 6 out
Yeah.
of 20, you give yourself a solid base, which I think is really, really good. So when you
Yeah,
were
I
at your
think
low,
what I found with the work, like what I was sorry, it's when I was talking about like the work, when I was at me lowest, that had a knock-on effect for like my work-life balance. Was me coaching side of things as well. Because when I was sort of working away, I was back weekends. From weekends, I was working. So while I was while I was at my lowest, but there's been a couple of points where I was trying to find which was my lowest point. I was actually talking to my missus about it before, and I was saying it was probably the time where we had a rough time. I'd sort of let she was shocking. She was doing all renovations, and I sort of abandoned her in a way. You know what I mean? I felt like I let her down, because I should have took ownership of it. Should have helped her a lot more. We've talked about it. Now, we've discussed it, and that had a knock-on effect for a few things while I was working away. So I wasn't doing my coaching, doing something that I was passionate about. I wasn't training, but training in a strange environment. I wasn't training as hard and as good as what I should have. So all them little things, like for me, like my training, if I didn't train for 2 days, I think my missus would take me to the gym and drop me off there, because she knows that it's like, it's what I do. That's like a non-negotiable, but it's not something we've discussed. When you said about the non-negotiable, I was like, that's a bit of an aha moment when you actually take a step back and you go, have we really discussed? Do we have non-negotiables? Is it just taken for granted that we have these non-negotiables? You know what I mean? It is a bit of it
it,
makes you think that it's a really good question.
really funny, because I would say, obviously, I've been doing a lot of research, working with a lot of men in this, and I'd say 95% of men are exactly the same. It's exactly the same point. And if you think about a relationship, communication is key. But what you think in your head, you just assume the other person knows, and you get, oh yeah, that's it. And then you can actually get tangled up in problems and arguments. Actually, when you accept accountability for that, and you go, well, fuck, I can explain that. Okay, let's have a discussion around that, and then you can ease in. And as I always say, if your goal is to protect the relationship, you don't want to win an argument. You don't want to throw the problem elsewhere. You want to accept it. Like everything, I always say, the answer is you. Because, if you take full accountability, communicate right with the person that you love, that person is going to, if that person, so it's on you to connect to them in the right way, not to trigger them, not to try and win an argument. And if you deliver that with empathy and love and say, hey, this is me, it's usually going to be met if you two are in love in the right way. And then we can start to kind of bring this a bit closer and try and make it work. So most people have had that big aha moment with it. I haven't met anybody who hasn't gone, I don't think I'm doing that, as fully as I could. So that's a really good point.
Yeah.
I believe that, you know, most all of us, we have a true authentic self. I describe it all the time. And then we get programmed. We get programmed by, parents who have been programmed. And we get programmed by school, governments, all this crap. And it's not necessarily us. So what happens is we get clouded with this program. Now, just like a computer program, sometimes there's a virus, right? And we're not kind of programmed in the right way, or something creeps in, completely pulls us away from our authentic self. Now, for you, for example, you've described it when you were not coaching, which is definitely, from what I can see, is what your authentic self, it's one of your passions, it's what you should be doing. It fills your cup. When you pull away from that, you're feeling worse. Now, you don't self-reflect and you don't have a kind of a structured way of looking at your life, because I believe that just like business has a success equation, humanity has a success equation. And if you look at it in a simple way, you kind of go, what's missing? And you can kind of go through and go, right, now I'll do this and this. And all of a sudden your cup gets full. I mean, we were just talking just before the call and you said you were tired. You watched the bloody farce of a Tyson fight at the weekend. You're feeling down now. You knew filling your cup is going climbing up the mountain and doing what you're doing at the weekend. And you came back and you said you felt recalibrated, right? So
yeah, definitely, yeah.
If we're meant to live as our authentic self, when you're at your lowest, how far away were you from your authentic self?
Pretty far, mate. Yeah, yeah. When you think about it now, I was miles away. I wasn't being the dad I am now. I wasn't present with my kids as much because just like I'd come home on a Friday, tired, drove 4 hours, 4.5 hours. You'd be knackered. You'd be a little bit grumpy. You'd be work on your mind. Saturday, the missus was working. I spent time with the kids. Sunday, I'm thinking about driving back or going back to work. And that, like, for me, one of my goals in life is to be the best parent and the best father and the best husband now as well that I can be. So, I mean, that's what life's all about for me, is family, friends, enjoying life. Like, at that time, I was miles away from that. I just didn't have that I didn't have social connection. I might speak to one or two of the lads on the phone through the week. I wasn't catching up with them. I wasn't training with people who were new and loved and wanted to spend time with. So that time, I was miles away from who I am now.
It sounds like obviously when you're in that, obviously as you get older, you can reflect and understand. You probably didn't understand why you're feeling the way you were feeling. And I know, similar to myself, you drank, you partied. Did you feel clouded? Did you feel like you were kind of running away from yourself at times because you were, yeah?
Yeah, well, what I've described to someone once, they said, because like on the outlook, people look at me, think, the motivational Mick or whatever, I'm always on the go, I'm always saying, I'm always busy, I'm quite a positive person, always trying to be a positive person. But I found like I was a bit like the Joker, like the film, The Joker's got a big smile on his face, but inside your mind's just working, and I was putting a smile on for everyone else. And like trying to be the happy, positive person, but my mind was elsewhere and I was all over the place. I remember actually standing there doing the dishes, good lad doing the dishes, doing my husband duties. And I used to always do, because it was weird, it used to help me switch off. And like I was like that, and then I felt like I was going to have a breakdown. I was like, going on, everything just sort of got on top of me. And that was the moment it sort of, and I ended up reaching out to it, like, a friend who's done a lot of personal development, self-development. Not a dead close friends, because sometimes I think it's better to speak to someone who you're not as close to, because you know what lads are like, fellas are like, is in 10 years ago, 20 years ago, someone with a phone you went, and I'm feeling a bit down, my head's up my arse, and I've got loads on my mind. You'd be like, yeah, let's just go and meet me in the pub. Yeah, you need a little blowout, we'll go to boozer. And that was it. That's how it worked, wouldn't it? And some of the lads are still like that. Some people are still like that. And that's why I thought to reach out to someone who I'm not that close with. And we had a good chat about things, and we were talking about things, and no negative thoughts, I think, come into my head, anything like sort of, suicidal thoughts, or where I'm thinking I'm depressed or anything like that. But my mind had gone. I was like, I just couldn't focus. I couldn't on a lot of things, and I knew this was a breaking point between me and the missus and stuff like that. You know what I mean? We had our talk and we went out, and I think I broke down a few times. I had a good little cry. Yeah, just thought it like everything, not everything, but over time, everything just sort of got off your chest and spoke about things, and that was an aha moment, where turning point, where everything sort of started going better. Do you know what I mean? Once that changed my job and stuff like that as well, and sort of thought, I can't do this any longer. I need to get back home, back to my family and stuff like that.
That's spot on. And what you've described there is so common for men. You described those moments where we feel completely overwhelmed, we're in our head, that program, the virus that we talk about is running around, and we're feeling this bad because we're going against our authentic self, and our authentic self is trying to come through, and we're feeling this pain because we know we're off center. And the fact that you
Yeah.
reached out to someone and you had that aha moment and it really helped is fantastic. But a lot of men don't do that because the thing you described before, that macho kind of stoic male thing that we have to stick by, it's a weakness
Yeah,
to
yeah,
talk. And I think that's the problem in society, and that's why people are doing what they're doing. It's because they don't feel comfortable to do that. And that's why I want to do this. This is why I want to share my experiences and experiences of so-called
yeah.
macho like
No, it's brilliant,
yourself.
mate.
Yeah. So how did, when you were at those low points and you were behaving the way you were behaving, obviously you've self-reflected. Have you now understood how that affected those around you, whether that be your partner, your children? How did it affect, and what could have been the outcome if you didn't kind of self-regulate?
Well, I think it's affected me missus more than any, like the kids were a little bit younger. I've got a 14-year-old daughter and an 8-year-old curly-headed terror of a lad. That they were a lot younger at the time, so they wouldn't have picked up on like dad was working away, dad wasn't here, dad wasn't present, dad wasn't being the dad that I am now and I have been for the last 5, 6 years, stuff like that. So it would affect me missus more, and probably, yeah, me mum and dad as well, because I'm really close to me mum and dad as well. I'm a 48-year-old mummy's boy, which
I could see
not
that.
afraid to admit, mate, and that, yeah, I'm never change on that side. So yeah, it probably affected them. They must have realised that I wasn't nasty, I wasn't being horrible, I just wasn't me. I wasn't here for them. Love taking my family out. I love taking them on holidays. Love doing whatever, having the family round. I'm quite a family oriented, social person. You know what I mean? When it comes to, and that was missing from my life. But that was something when you look at stuff like your framework, how it works, and you look at that and that connection, you think, yeah, and I was missing that really bad there. And it does make you think about things. When I'm looking at that low point in my life, and I'm going, yeah, yeah, I was missing that connection with the family, not just the wife, which was massive. I was coming home but there wasn't that connection. I wasn't feeling. There's a question there. Did you feel? Well, let me say, do you feel loved, respected, and happy in the relationship? And I didn't. Because we never sort of had the time together, and like ships in the night, we just passing. So yeah, that was when I look back on that. Yeah, it gets you there. You know what I mean when you think about it.
Yeah, it's a good point, and I believe that's why I think this framework is so important because, as I said before, just like in business, if I wanted to do something, improve profitability or do something, there's an equation to it, and then you have to plan it in and you have to take those actions. And it's like once you realize that, if you're in that spot where you're not doing it, you go, oh shit, I need to plan that in. They talk about date nights and things like that. That's a reality of, some people. I don't need to be structured in a relationship. We let it flow. Well, if it's not fucking working, plug something in to give yourself the opportunity. And again, I think it's a great self-reflection.
We had one of them on Thursday, little date
Yeah,
night in town.
yeah, yeah. Few beers and a meal, and
Well, yeah, my mate got me a voucher for a nice restaurant in town. He was coming to, we hadn't done it for a while, so we went to a tap restaurant, couple of bottles of wine, little cocktail, and train home. Then we were home for 10:30, a little bit fuzzy, but I'm not a massive drinker. I can, as you say, I can still go out and enjoy myself. The time to time, I could go out to drink for 4 or 5 weeks. It doesn't bother me. You know what I mean? But I do like the social aspect of that side. So yeah, the odd little date night is much needed.
yes, brilliant. And one of the things that I always say is there's the realization of the thing which you're talking about, right? So not doing this thing, and then what a lot of people will do is they don't do the thing because what they'll kind of do, they'll put their energy into talking about the thing. So I will say, like, me talking to you about the thing that I should do is not doing the thing. Me telling you how good I am at doing the thing is not doing the thing. Me plugging it into my calendar to say when I'm going to do the thing is not doing the thing. The only thing that's fucking doing the thing is doing it, right? And
Doing it.
a lot of people, talk about it. And, I was talking, again, mentioning my younger brother, Andrew, who's been through massive blows. He's really working on himself now, doesn't drink any more than 90 days. He's doing all of those things. But I usually say to him, you talk about the thing more than probably I said, you must have done about 200 hours worth of finding a sensitive ear, telling them about the thing, and then doing fuck all about it. I'm like, what could you do within 200 hours to work on whatever that thing is, whether it's a relationship, whether it's your work, whether it's your socials, whether it's health and fitness, whatever the hell it is. Imagine 200 hours.
Yeah.
And so many people, I don't know if you know any people like that, they like to find a sensitive ear and then they burn it out.
As soon as you yeah, as soon as you said that, the coming to me head stays away. Do you know what I mean? One of my good mates, one of my really good mates, says the same thing to me time after time, and the same, never again. I'm not doing that. He still goes on benders, and it's like Groundhog Day all the time. And I always say, listen, mate, if I had a tenner for every time you'd said, that's it now. You know what I mean? I'll be a few quid richer. You know what I mean? You try and help him. I've spoke to him, and like years ago, you'd say, and I have said this to him, and then Mike, you will look back and think that's one of them when you the macho stuff and the lads I said to you, I said, mate, you're a Tuesday phone call. I said, I'm going to get a phone call about you on a Tuesday. I said, if you don't stop what you're doing, you don't try and, help yourself and, get out of that rat race and just sort of, not the rat race, sorry, just get out of that monotony of 2 weeks where you're not drinking, going out partying, staying up, getting on it, and then the same thing over and over again and stuff like that. I said, you are a Tuesday phone call for me. I said, and I'm worried, and and that he's not like that now. It's bad, you know what I mean? But as you say, he's probably spent about 200 hours telling me about the same thing over and over and over again. Just think what you could have done with that.
So, you mentioned the kind of, you had that turning point where you kind of hit some of your lows. And what's the comparison now between your life then and now? You mentioned that it seems that you're the most happiest. Is it that stark? How do you feel now, kind of inadvertently, without the kind of understanding the structure? You've actually worked through a lot of those pillars yourself over time, through pain. It took years. And I definitely think if more people had this framework and understood, they would move a lot quicker. But what's the difference to your life and how you feel mentally, physically, and those around you?
Yeah, I think like my relationship with my wife is the main. I think that's the focal point. That's the point where everything else is sort of fed off that. You know what I mean? I think sort of or grown from that. So we've now. Well, I've got a big sneeze going on here. I'm gonna
Yeah.
look at the lights. Yeah. So we've sort everything sort of grown from that. I've developed from that. The love I feel now from the missus, how much we talk about it and tell each other. And like, there's also like the other day, I was feeling a little bit just sort of down, and I felt like I was a bit emotional. And I went come down and told her, said, "Oh, listen," I said, "my head feels like just at work stuff and everything like that." You know what I mean? Been dead busy lately, which is great. I like being busy, but sometimes come down and speak to me missus. So having that that was something that I never had, and we wouldn't talk about stuff like that 10 years ago. Now I can come down and say, "Oh, you know what, babe, I feel a bit stressed. I feel a bit like, do you want to come here, give us a bit cuddle?" And then I say, "I'm just going to go up the stairs and chill and get out the way and just get out my headspace and stuff." And being able to talk like that, that's massive. And then we always say, me and my missus have never sort of argued. We don't really argue. With the kids, see how good we are together and how happy we are together. That makes them happier, especially when they're younger. Kids are, the brains are developing in the formative years. And I think that makes some massive things for their future. That's why I sort of, if you've seen stuff during lockdown, I was doing all little videos and stuff with me kids and training with me kids. And my little boy, if I come out in the summer, he's actually going to the garden today. He'll be out doing press-ups and pull-ups and calisthenics and whatever in the garden. He'll want to jump on and do it. So
Just
that's
think
just
about
sort of,
mate. Just think about that. As I say, we're programming children, right? It's the parents' program, schools program.
yes.
What a program you've implanted. That's definitely not a virus. That's an amazing discipline, health, and mindset that you're giving your child. And, more parents, instilled that, how much better would society be?
I know went off on one there, but that's what, like, during lockdown was what I was busy. I was on a big, massive project, so it didn't change for me, didn't stop for me. But what I noticed was, like, my daughter and me lad, they had homework and they had school and they had stuff. They were just sitting in. They weren't doing PEs. They weren't doing anything. They weren't as active. You know, we were getting out. As a family, we were. But I was a bit like, hang on, all these kids, the clubs have shut, gyms, boxing gyms, martial arts, fitness, dance, whatever. So kids are just going to vegetate. Kids are going to sit there, iPads, computers. So I set up a little thing called the Lockdown Lids Fitness page on Facebook. That, you know, then people might think, what's the lockdown lids? This is like a little scout term for like lads lids. What's happening lids? So I thought I've done that. So what I'll do is I'll start doing little videos, little fitness things, just like me and me lad working out. He was in a Superman or a Batman outfit or whatever, and I'd be doing press ups, sit ups, and he'd be doing them with me, and my daughter would be doing them. And we just went live on Facebook, and you know what I thought? Even if there's 2 people watching and they watching, and then it sort of grown a little bit. And he was like, at the max, I think there was about 25 people on there, but then it was getting loads of really good positive messages saying, oh yeah, believe me, there was someone in Australia living over there, a friend of ours, and he would go, just been doing it with the kids and great, and keep doing what, and all like, and we were getting loads of really good messages. I was thinking, oh, so we were doing them every week. I was getting a calisthenics coach. He's done a few with his lads. I was getting a yoga instructor. So we were just doing live little workouts, because that I was thinking to myself, kids are just going to be sitting there, and parents aren't as sort of educated as sort of me in fitness, or they might not be as motivated. They might just let the kids sit there and eat shite and eat crap and sit in front of the telly. So it was something I was all right. I'm going to start doing them. So we done it for a good few months, and it was good. You know what I mean? It was sort of like we were trying to keep people active and keep people fit. And
That's beautiful.
yeah,
Yeah,
it was good, mate. And you know, it died a death eventually, because as lockdown and things opened, we just sort of let it go. And it could have been a good little business opportunity. Something might have slipped the net there. You know what I mean? It wasn't my goal. I've never done my fitness. I've never done as a job. It's not what I do. I do it because I'm passionate about it. I train people. I don't charge for training people. I don't get paid for training people. I just do it because I enjoy it. You know what I mean?
That's beautiful. And you know, during kind of COVID, if you think about it, it was kind of almost felt like a collective dark night of the soul, because one of the biggest things, you know, as humans we need is connectivity, and you know, those social connections that were completely kind of dissolved. And there was no coincidence that suicide rates shot up, and you know, alcoholism and drug taking and loneliness and depression and anxiety and all of this shit happened. And if you look again, looking at our framework, you know, the majority of people's social connections dips, you know, to almost zero everywhere because it was forced. So you doing that, you know, even if there's 25 kids watching it regularly, that's 25 kids who are boosting their kind of social connections because they're part of some little community. So good on you. That's really admirable. So did you reflect on, you know, you touched on there about the bedrock of your family being your relationship with your missus, and I can see that solid. And you know, when you reflect back on, again, touching on the time when you know, maybe weren't there as much, and you maybe said you didn't support as much, you know, have you reflected? Obviously, you would have spoken to Mrs. and taken full accountability, obviously, forgetting how you felt for a minute. Did you understand how that affected your missus? Have you kind of had that discussion and how she felt during that time?
Oh yeah. You know, she was in a bad place, you know, because she's got her own business. She's got a couple of businesses, and she was doing renovations to the shop and turning it into apartments and stuff like that. Bad builders, you know, I didn't. I'm in the building sort of trade as well, so I was away and sort of left it to it. And you know, thought, yeah, you know, she's good. She can take it on board. I didn't get involved. Looking back now, it's a good job I didn't get involved, because I probably would have ended up in jail.
Yeah,
I probably would have killed them. But you know, that's the way I've changed, because like 15 years ago, I would have went after them and I would have got myself into big trouble. But now, you know, you think of your kids, you think of the consequences, you think of what you know, like what could happen. Like I always say this, I was actually saying to my daughter before, actually, I was joking with her, and I said about the ripple effect. I said, having a bad day, me say say you have a bit of road rage or something, and like you jump out and you flash them on, or swear at someone, giving the fingers or something, and then they put someone in a bad mood, and then they'll put them in a bad mood, and then they could go into work and they could upset 20 people, and then it's just massive. I said, and the same, it's the same with a smile. It's the same if you let someone go the morning, if you're driving to work and someone flashes you and lets you go. You're in a good mood. You go, thanks, nice one. And then you let the next person out. And then, do you know what I mean? And that does have a ripple effect of sort of smile and happiness. Can just one little good deed can have a massive ripple effect and sort of change. And that's why I sort of didn't do nothing about the certain, you do certain things, but I didn't want to go down the old route of the way we could have done. But but that's, I felt I'd let the missus down on that. I felt sort of I'd left it since she was in a bad way. She nearly had a nervous breakdown because of it, and I was like, I when I look back at it, and it upset me. When I was talking to her about it, it upset me. It was like, proper let you down, and I can't believe I've done it. It's just like, it was so upsetting for me as a man. You know what I mean? To like see my wife the way she was, and the way I'd sort of neglected her and left it in that way. I know we talk about it now, and it does. It upsets me thinking to myself, I really let her down as a husband there. You know what I mean? And like, wow, how did I do that? How did I let that happen to her? You know what I mean? Sort of. And yeah, and now obviously, I've been with her for 20 years. We've been married for 10. That's a bit of math then, and I 10 years. So yeah, we've been together a long, long time. And sometimes that relationships, that's why I'm so happy now that relationships can sort of stagnate, can't they? Now we did stagnate, but now we're up there, you know what I mean? And people notice it. People have noticed it. People have said to us about like when they feel it's like, wow, you two are like, and you're amazing together. And he's never used to be like sort of, he's happy, but we're really happy the way life should be, and that's the way love should be as well. You know what I mean?
Good on you, good on you. And as I've said all the way through, I think vulnerability, self-reflection, awareness is key, and you've just spoke that in mounds. And it's important to, when you do have that realization, from twofold. So when you give that up and you kind of say, hey, to your partner, in whatever it may be, and you say, look, I fucked up. I'm in a bad spot. I was in a bad spot. I really apologize for what I've done. I think it's important for two things there. It's just like I say, it's important to forgive others. It's also important to forgive yourself. Once you've kind of redeemed, you've accepted, and kind of, try and make amends. What's super important is like your partner is with you on that, because once in a toxic relationship, what can happen if one becomes vulnerable and apologizes, that other person can go, okay, and kind of, I always say, can put you on the suffering leash and walk you around the pain park for a couple of days and be silent with you and make you suffer. That's not protecting the relationship, right? So I think it's really important that that's accepted. If it's delivered with empathy and vulnerability, it's accepted. But then, as you said, I can see that hurt you as a man, and I've done the same to my partner. Katya, just it's really important that everybody feels heard and seen. And this kind of mission that I'm on, I'm all over it, like 7 days a week. I can see where this can go and the impact we can have on society. So I run and thinking this thing is the most important thing. And, I really want to help humanity and this, that, and the other. And sometimes I've got my missus there trying to talk to me about other stuff, something that's important to hear. And I'm like, I'm like, yeah, but this. And recently I had to, she's my mirror, and she kind of had a chat with me, and I thought, look, I hadn't been, she hadn't been heard. I hadn't listened enough, and that affected me as a man, because I'm thinking I'm trying to carry myself as this, in this way to help people, and yet I've let myself down and hair down in this little pillar here, and it's like, but it doesn't matter, because as humans we are perfectly imperfect. That's how we're made, and it's the realization is, as long as you check yourself every day and you're trying to pull yourself back, that's the game, and it's as regularly as we can be our authentic self, but give ourselves forgiveness for when we do cock up. So I hope you've managed to do that and move forward.
Yeah, no, I have. And as you said, then was something that sort of resonated with me then, is like the listening side of things. There's an art in listening. Like, sometimes when I'm putting in it, I know, and that's the way we do have conversations, but sometimes, when you're having a conversation with sometimes people in life in general, like I remember doing a course on NLP, about coaching and stuff like that years ago. that was an aha moment for me. It was amazing, especially to help me in the coaching side of things with the kids and visualizing positive outcomes and stuff like that. But then we done like an exercise when I was doing this course, and it was like about listening. Like you'd speak, and then most of the time when you're talking the conversation with someone, you're not listening to what they're saying. You're getting ready to respond, and you're like, and I was thinking, yeah, I do that, and I
We
do
all
that
do.
quite a bit. And you're doing it in your relationships with your wife, your missus, and you're not your missus is trying to talk to you, and you're thinking, yep, yep, and you're ready to respond, and that's exactly what I was doing. Or like, and that's what that NLP side of thing was sort of that was amazing for me. It really did open a lot of new ideas and a new mindset for me when when I done a course on that.
It, it's unfortunately, I think it's part of human nature because you kind of get excited and you kind of go, I know where this is going. I've got this story to connect to that.
Yeah.
But like you've almost got to kind of park and kind of come through. And me and you would have been doing it to each other all the way through this. So look, I think you've got a real kind of beautiful story there, and I've watched the man you're growing into from afar, and it's very, very obvious, and it's great to see. What advice would you give, either your younger self or to any men out there now who are struggling with the virus of the program, which is not, isn't ourselves? People who are struggling, what would your advice be to people to really wake them up to who they are and point them in the right direction?
I sort of, with my younger self, going back, first thing I'd tell him to buy a load of Bitcoin and then put that to one side. Especially now. No, but I mean, sort of, it's okay to talk. It's okay to be vulnerable. I seen what you listen to your podcast, and when you said vulnerability is a superpower, and I was like, you know what, it is. You know what I mean? And like, lads, men don't talk to each other. I remember the first time one of my mates said to me, it was like, I've got loads of mates down Kettering way on the phone, and he went, "Love you, mucker," and I went, I was like, lads don't say love you to each other. Do you know what I mean? And I was like, love you, mate. And then like every time I spoke to him, then it's like, love you, mate. And then like loads more people have said, I put kisses on the end of some of your mates' messages. And you just do it anyway. And then like now I say to a lot of my mates about love you, mate. And like,
Beautiful.
it's not macho. It's not, if you're feeling like that, reach out, talk to people. Sometimes you're better talking to someone than this. What you're trying to do, this sort of movements, and what you're trying to do is brilliant. And like, if one person listens to this and they go, get in touch with them on social media and sort of talk to him and have a chat with him, then brilliant. It's amazing. You're doing what amazing work. If what one person, the kind of thing is, there's not even like a word you can say about to advise people if they feel like that. People care. And for me, and I've always said this, suicide, like, is the bravest, most cowardly thing you could ever do. Do you understand when I say that? Because it's like, how can someone's brain think to themselves that, like, this is what life's all about? Oh, you see some people who've done it, who like got kids and got families and stuff like that, and to take your own life, to jump from whatever, it's so brave. It's like, is it brave? Is it brave? But it's so cowardly. You forget what you're leaving behind. People care. You can't think of what you're going to leave behind, the people who love you and the devastation and stuff like that, that you're going to leave behind. And people do care. It might not be, you might, like, oh, someone comes up to me, people have reached out to me in the past and spoke to me, said that, like, random people who've messaged me on social media, Mick, you're always dead positive, you're always dead fit and healthy. Can you give me some advice? I'm feeling dead down and stuff like that. I might be one out of thousands that has done that, but someone's reached out, so people do care and speak to people.
That's a great point. People do care. Yeah, I'm finding the same thing, even just from, we've just started a few weeks ago doing what we're doing. I'm getting people reach out to me, similar things, and they're messaging me saying, I wouldn't mind a chat. And I'm like, yeah, great. And I'm speaking to people I haven't spoke to for years who haven't got out of that, where we've kind of found our way to get out of the party, and they're still in there and they know this isn't the path. And then they're seeing people like us saying, they know we were there and we're saying, look, we feel great, there's a path.
Yeah.
And what we're not trying to do is say, for example, I've stopped drinking for X amount of months. I might have a drink here and there if the time be, but it's not me saying, hey, look at me, I'm great because I don't drink. It's not about that. It's kind of saying, this is something that works for me, and there's a pathway, because some people think, to your point, you said earlier, is, you reach out to someone, okay, let's go to the pub. So some people then find, this is the only way I can connect with my friends, but it's not. There's another path. You know what I mean? Sometimes you have to actually, sometimes on your evolution, you have to sometimes leave a certain friend group to connect to a different friend group, and that's part of it. That might be part of it, because sometimes friends can keep you down because they don't want to evolve. And if you've got a friend group, if you're trying to evolve and you're trying to stop drinking, and they don't want to connect you because you stop drinking or stop acting, well, they're not actually a friend, because they want to support you and fan your flames of growth. But yeah, I think it's really important that people do. That's the strong message, that people do care. And if somebody reached out to me, again, this isn't about money. It's if somebody reached out to me and said, "Shut up," say, "Yep, we're there. I'll find a slot in my calendar. Let's have a catch up." And I know you'd be the same. So people who are perceived as us, who've been through, people who've been through the ringer, so to speak, we're open, and we're not saying we're perfect. We're actually perfectly imperfect. We described through the call that on the daily, I'm coughing up, but I'm trying to pull myself through. And with this pillared framework, it allows me to sense check and regularly fulfill my kind of fulfillment cup. And there's a pathway. So yeah, I think that's really powerful what you've said there.
What you're trying to create is like that community, that sort of environment where men, like one of my best pals always says to me, said it for years, you are the company you keep. If you sort of, I know everyone always says it, you surround yourself with 5 dickheads. Guess who's the 6th dickhead? You surround yourself with 5 alcoholics. You know what I mean? There's a good chance that you're going to be the 6th one. You surround yourself with 5 positive people. Like I always take the piss and say, like, there's 2 different types of people in life. There's like drains and radiators. Don't be a drain, be a fucking radiator. Do you know what I mean? Because there's 2 different types of. You know what I mean? You spend some time with some people and you get energized. Seeing a guy who does breath work on an Xbox who I mentioned to you. He's a Wim Hof instructor, Josh. Amazing lad. And he put something up today on his social media saying about people energizing people. And I messaged him and said to him straight away, said, "You're one of them people." And he was like, "Oh, lovely brother," and all, like, thanks. Because I think he is, you spend time with him and you come out of there and you're energized. This little fella walking past me now, you spend time with him, you come out energized. You know what I mean? But you do. There's people like that. And then sometimes you spend 10 minutes with someone and you can drain the life out of you. So you've got to choose who you spend time with and who you surround yourself, especially if you're in a case where you're out a bit down and you're vulnerable and you're depressed and you're having these thoughts in your head. You've got to surround yourself, take yourself away from what you just said, take yourself away from your circle of friends you could be with, and latch on to someone who's a bit more positive, got a bit more outlook in life, and can talk to you.
Yeah, that's a really good point, and that's great advice for people who are struggling. I hadn't thought of that there, because that's something we mentioned in the workbook. We call them kind of energy vampires and energy boosters. And if you're
positivity vampires,
look around you and say, okay, who am I interacting with? Right, who's lifting me up here? Who's boosting me? That's a really good point. And is there anybody in my friend group maybe who have disconnected from who I know, this is the person needs to reach out to them. And I think that's really valuable advice. And it's funny because I went to a World Business Forum last week. I was invited through this kind of business that I coach, and Andre Agassi was one of the speakers, and it was and he was talking about and he was talking about his journey. It's like during his tennis, when he kind of was climbing the ranks, he didn't actually it wasn't his authentic self. He didn't actually love tennis. He was forced into it kind of by his dad. He was hitting 2,000 balls a day, got perfect at that. And it was like what he was surrounding himself with was some energy vampires who weren't really, because it wasn't really his thing. And again, I think it's important for everybody out there to realize that, in work, for example, people think, when I get that job, I'm going to be happy. Or when I get that relationship, I'm going to be happy. Or when I go on that holiday, I'm going to be happy. But when you get that, and when you get over the cliff, it doesn't give you happiness, because it's only you who has the answer. And he described, he said,
Yeah.
he was kind of in this bubble thing. And then he said, in his head, he said, he framed it, when I get to world number one, that's when it's going to be fucking, everything's going to be rosy. And he said he got to that world number one, and then he said it was like he was led into this dark little secret that, no, this isn't the answer, my friend. And he said that's when his world crumbled around him. And he said that was when he was the furthest away from his authentic self. And then when he hit rock bottom, that's when he found himself, because all the shit went out the way, and he went, what is my purpose? And then he built from there. And lo and behold, what was his purpose? Helping others. So he built a school for underprivileged people who didn't have a choice, because he said he didn't have a choice as a child. He was forced into something. And now there's 40 schools across the US. So I think that's a good analogy for what we're talking about there, about it's not about, that thing. It's all within, right?
Yeah, that's what my boy who's just been floating about then, who I say, people always say, oh, your boy's great, he's doing the kickboxing, Thai boxing, and he's getting into it. But I say, if he wanted to do ballet, if he said, he came in with Dad, I don't want to go to the Thai boxing anymore. I want to go to dance or go to ballet. I go on, son, go crack on, find find what you love, find what you enjoy, because he's always got stuff he can go back to. And some people might think that like I force him into it, and I don't. He gets up on a Saturday morning and he's energized to go train. Are we going to train with that? And I'm like, yeah, sure you want to? Yeah, definitely. He has an hour session with a Thai boxing coach. He loves him. He's amazing. I don't train him because I can train every kid in the world, but training your own kid can be a little bit difficult because you're that sort of, you've got less tolerance and stuff. So you just take a step back and let them out. I actually laughed because when I was training all the little kids, 5 years up in KC Fight Base, when he'd go in and be like, Dad, and I say, listen, for this hour, I'm not your dad, I'm your coach. And he was like, Coach Dad. I was like, no, I'm just your coach. Do you know what I mean? It's like, but if he, went off a little bit, but if he decided that he didn't want to do boxing, martial arts, singing, but he wanted to do anything, you support him, don't you? You say, yeah, no, mate. So just you do that, yeah. It's not like what you said about Andre Agassi.
Oh, that's great. Well, I think we'll wrap it up there. As always, I said time and time again, it is a bit of a theme within the movement that vulnerability is a superpower. I thank you for being so vulnerable throughout, and hopefully your message, as I always say, if it lands with one soul, we've done a good job.
Yeah, that's it, mate. Brilliant. No, appreciate it. Getting me on, mate. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep up the good work.
All right, my friend. Absolute pleasure to speak to you. Hopefully the weather's not too shitty over there in miserable winter Liverpool, mate.
We're getting snow tomorrow. I might get up and there might be snow everywhere. You enjoy Coogee Beach. Thanks very much, mate.
All right, brother.
Tomorrow's will be wearing Speedo.
All right, brother. I'll speak to you later.